If you're a leader, you probably live this every single day. You've got this big, ambitious vision for the future, but you spend all your time just putting out fires. It feels like you're stuck in this endless battle between your strategy and just surviving the week. But what if there's a better way to operate? A way to actually make real, measurable progress? Man, does this hit home or what? This quote just perfectly nails that feeling of being pulled in two completely different directions. It makes it feel almost impossible to get any real traction, right? You're either dreaming about what could be, or you're reacting to what's breaking right now. And guess what? Neither one is actually moving the needle forward. And that, right there, is the big idea we're going to unpack. See, the problem isn't that you lack ambition, and it's definitely not a lack of effort. The problem is a lack of the right rhythm, a cadence that can connect that big picture vision to the reality of getting stuff done day in and day out. So let's dive right into the solution, the 90-day cycle. Now, this isn't just some number we pulled out of a hat. It's a proven time frame that works. Why? Because it's long enough to get something really meaningful done. But, and this is absolutely crucial, it's short enough to keep that sense of urgency alive and lets you adapt as you go. I mean, just look at the alternatives. You've got 5-year plans, right? They sound great in a boardroom, but pretty soon they just become these abstract posters on a wall. They lose their power. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the daily firefight. That's just pure chaos, you know? There's no forward momentum at all. But 90 days? Now that's the sweet spot. It gives you incredible focus, but also the flexibility that the real world demands. And this is the key principle behind it all. Real momentum, what we call velocity, it doesn't just come from working harder or longer hours. No way. It comes from having absolute, crystal clarity on what matters most right now. A focused 90-day plan gives that exact kind of clarity to you and your entire team. And listen, this isn't just a good idea. It's actually backed by a ton of science. Psychologically, there's something called the Zeigarnik effect. It basically says our brains are wired to obsess over unfinished tasks. You know, it's that feeling when you have to finish a movie you started. A 90-day goal creates that same kind of productive itch. Then you've got decades of research showing that specific, tough goals, like increase customer renewals by 10%, will always outperform vague ones, like let's improve customer happiness. And in the real world, well, this is the standard rhythm for the highest performing teams out there. They just call them quarterly OKRs. Okay, theory is great, but let's talk about how this actually plays out. I want to share a quick story about a leader who went from feeling like she was totally drowning to delivering some pretty incredible results. So this is Sophia. She's a VP of operations, super smart, her team absolutely loved her, but she was completely overwhelmed by that day-to-day chaos we were just talking about. She felt totally and completely stuck. So working with her team, she set just a few super clear 90-day outcomes. The first one was a huge deal for their customers. They were going to reduce the time it took from when an order was placed to when it was shipped by 15%. It was clear, it was measurable, and honestly, it made them a little uncomfortable. That's how they knew it was a great goal. Goal number 2 is something I think we can all get behind. Cut the total number of hours spent in meetings by 25%. But here's the critical part. They had to do it without sacrificing good decision-making. This was all about getting time back for real work, not just avoiding people. And her third goal, I love this one because it shows the power of small habits. It wasn't some huge metric. It was just to launch one new daily habit, a quick 5-minute huddle for her frontline teams every morning, a tiny little ritual designed to create massive alignment. So what happened after 90 days of focus? Well, the results kind of speak for themselves, don't they? They didn't just meet their goals, they absolutely crushed them. Shipping time was down 17%, and they cut meeting time by an incredible 29%. That clarity created real, tangible velocity. And this quote is exactly why it worked. Sophia's team wasn't resisting change before, they were resisting confusion. Once they had a clear, simple 90-day plan, all that confusion just evaporated. Everybody knew the goal, and more importantly, they knew what they had to do each week to get there. Okay, so now let's pull back the curtain on the actual tool that made this happen for Sophia. We call it the activation canvas. It's a framework we've been honing for years that is simple to use, super strict in its focus, but actually really kind and humane in how it's executed. So here's how it breaks down. First, you pick just 1 to 3 outcomes, and I mean outcomes, not a laundry list of projects. An outcome is a result. Second, you build a simple weekly scorecard. You want to track lagging indicators like revenue, but also leading indicators, the things that predict future success, like sales demos. Third, you make those critical little behaviors visible using a habit tracker. Fourth, you shorten your meeting loops by making the cost visible. Trust me, when you see how much a meeting is costing, you get efficient fast. And finally, you review your progress weekly like a scientist. Objectively, no drama, just learning and adapting. When you put it all together, it creates this beautiful, sustainable rhythm. You've got your daily huddles, keeping everyone on the same page. A quick 20-minute weekly review to make small adjustments. A monthly check-in to rebalance your efforts. And then at the end of the quarter, you learn, you celebrate, and you reset for the next cycle. It's a human-friendly way to achieve really high performance. Okay, so we've covered the why behind the 90-day cycle, and we've covered the how. Now for the most important part, turning all of this knowledge into action for you. Let's talk about how you can start your very first cycle. Here's a super simple plan. First, just name one outcome. What's the one thing you want to be proud of 90 days from today? Second, pick 2 tiny habits that will help make that outcome inevitable. Third, and I mean do this right now, open your calendar and schedule a recurring 20-minute weekly review. That's your accountability. Fourth, find 2 meetings you can just cut. Free up that time. And finally, if you really want to accelerate, just book a kickoff call. Our team at M360 has over 15 years of experience doing this with leaders, and with a 99% satisfaction rate, we can help you get this right fast. And this quote, this really gets to the heart of our philosophy at M360. You know, the goal of this system, the goal of this explainer, it isn't to just give you more information to think about. It's about giving you a framework for action. It's a call to move from just thinking to actually doing. We're here to help you reveal the leader in you. So that leaves us with one final thought. The next 90 days are going to pass by no matter what you do. The real question is, by putting a simple rhythm like this in place, what could be fundamentally different for you and for your team on day 91? Your 90 days start now.